Good morning. It's Friday once again, and what a week it has been on the world stage. Of course, we hope our friends and colleagues and brothers and sisters in Ukraine are well, our thoughts are with them for sure. Anyway, the last couple days, oddly enough, it has somewhat cheered me and Constance both when we see reports and tapes and news stories of the wonderful, courageous, and humorous way that the initial Russian troops have been met by the local Ukrainians, especially the women. And I posted a curse that one of them hurled at one of the Russian soldiers in a tank. And she was just absolutely wonderful. But she hurled, I think, a traditional Ukrainian or a regional curse that you tell someone to put sunflower seeds in their pockets so at least the flowers will grow when they lie down in the dirt. And it is just, it was so touchingly amusing. So it got me thinking about curses and things. And of course, when we're either personally or when we feel under attack and hopeless, it's only natural that we would initially react defensively, as if, you know, if I had the power to curse you, I would do it right now, just like you'd punch somebody in the nose if they were going to get ready to hurt you, you'd punch them in the nose. And I have to think that punching somebody in the nose would be preferable to tinker with your precious subconscious mind and enmesh yourself in the broiling hatred that is emotional hate. So obviously people say, well, if your magic is so good, you know, why can't you curse somebody to do this or do that? And I'm not above imagining foul things that I would do to a perceived enemy in some medieval torture chamber with a blowtorch. But it really doesn't make me feel any better. As a matter of fact, it doubly injures me to dwell on those things. But it got me thinking of when it was that I actually used a curse in a way that I think would be proper to use a curse in such a way that doesn't unnecessarily involve damaging myself. And it was at the very end of an exorcism that I performed another number of years ago on a Catholic girls' school, high school in Southern California. And I talk a great deal about it, I think, in the book Low Magic. I call it the Exorcism of Our Lady of Sorrows. That wasn't the name of the school, and I won't tell you the name of the school now. But it was quite a spiritual struggle. But the struggle, more importantly, yes, I was trying to neutralize the effects of an obvious conglomerate, coagulant of seemingly extremely negative forces that had more or less settled on the school. You call it a demon, call it whatever you want to call it. It was hurting people. It was killing people. It was maiming people. It was terrorizing people. And it was an all-night affair, and it involved clearing absolutely every room in the school and bringing it all into one room, so I could have a discussion with the force. And anyway, it came to the point of where there was no way to actually transmute it, and it had gotten to the point of where it needed to be annihilated. And I gave it every chance I knew how to give it. And so I turned to what I considered the biggest guns of magical curses. And it's something that I had found, and it was in my arsenal of toolboxes, my toolbox arsenal. And it was in the very, very, you can't see that very well. This is the Jimmy Page edition of, we call it that because he paid for this edition of the Goetia. You can find it with Weiser now in paperback and things like that. But in the very back, I discovered something very interesting to me. Now, classic Goetic evocation or conjurations that are found in the original Sloan manuscript texts of the Lemegeton, and the particular book of the Lemegeton that is called Goetia. In Crowley's own version of this, Crowley had this paid for this originally to be translated. MacGregor Mathers helped him translate it. In Crowley's own copy, he had written the first and second Enochian calls in his Conjuration section, marginal notes, leading most anyone to think that instead of using the multiple long wordy conjurations in the classic medieval Goetia, that in Crowley's later years he just used those two calls to put him in the proper state of consciousness where conjurations take place. Not only that, but he had translated several of the conjurations. First conjuration, second conjuration, the constraint, and ye potent invocation of his king, ye general curse, ye conjuration of fire, ye greater curse, and ye address to the spirit on its coming. He translated them all into Enochian, the Enochian angelic tongue. And of course, he used sort of the Golden Dawn pronunciation method. But in ye greater curse, and this is the one that I turned to finally annihilate the sickle of the spirit possessing the school. It says, if I may share it, in English it would be, let the company of heaven curse thee. Let the sun, moon, all the stars curse thee. Let the light and all the holy ones of heaven curse thee unto the burning flame that liveth forever, and unto the torment unspeakable. So, if you've ever watched the movie Beckett, Richard Burton chews the scenery in this one. He chews the scenery all the time. They just hire him to chew the scenery. But the great Richard Burton plays Thomas Becket, the Archbishop of Canterbury. And one of the king's men had killed one of the bishops under his he killed one of the bishops, and which is, you couldn't do that. That separation of church and state, Becket said, even though he was best friends with the king and went wenching with him in his youth, he said, no, you can't do that. You can't do that to my churchmen. Even if the guy was an asshole, the king can't kill a bishop. That's my job. You know. So he says, if you don't pay for this, if you're not going to own up to this, I'm going to excommunicate the king, or I'm going to excommunicate the murderer of my bishop. And the murderer of the bishop was one of the barons or something of the king. And the king said, no, you can't do that. You know. And he said, yes, I can. Anyway, I probably got the story all wrong, and all my UK friends will probably correct me on that and be happy to. But there's an exorcism scene. Where,
it's an excommunication.
Oh, excuse me. There's an excommunication scene where a bunch of volunteer monks, all in their cowls, and they have huge candles. I mean, like 5-foot tall candles, heavy candles, and they're all carrying these candles. and they march in to the Canterbury Cathedral, to the altar, and they line up in two lines, and Richard Burton, because they couldn't get any better human being on earth to do this scene, Richard Burton walks in his full Archbishop of Canterbury drag and pronounces the excommunication. And it sounds pretty much like, let the company of heaven curse thee. Let the sun... Oh, you just want to play it over and over again on a loop. It's so scary. Let the company of heaven curse thee. Let the sun, moon, all the stars curse thee. Let the light and all the holy ones of heaven curse thee unto the burning flame that liveth forever, and into the torment unspeakable. It wasn't quite that. It's even cooler, actually. And then on cue, all of these monks, maybe maybe 24 monks on either side, take their candles and hold them up. And Richard Burton takes his candle, and at the word torment unspeakable or something like that, he flips his lit candle upside down and smashes it out on the floor, and then throws it down to the echo in Canterbury Cathedral. Then on cue, every one of those monks flips their candle upside down and smashes against the floor, and without one of them being out of sync, throws their candles down on the marble floor, and the slam of it echoes in your soul. What were you saying, dear?
It's a beautiful ritual.
It's a what?
It's just a beautiful ritual.
It's a beautiful ritual. And oddly enough, it makes you feel better. It makes you feel better that there's that level of ceremonial release somewhere in the universe. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about. And I guess I've already talked to you about it. The second book, or the third book, or the fourth book that my dear departed friend Christopher Hyatt and I wrote way back in 1971 was called Aleister Crowley's Illustrated Goetia, and it's still available in by two publishers. Either one is good. But in that introduction, I talk about the Conjuration. After the preliminary invocation of the Goetia, the magician should be in a powerfully exalted state of mind. One now should know beyond a shadow of a doubt that he or she has the spiritual authority to command the spirits, and that no spirit will be able to resist the conjuration. It's enough at this point to point your wand toward the triangle and say something like, "Hear me, O spirit, what's your name?" and appear before this circle in a fair human form. Come peaceably and visibly before me in the triangle of art. Repeat the spirit's name several times until you see or sense the spirit in the triangle. It should be noted that a large portion of the original Goetia is dedicated to stronger and stronger conjurations and curses intended to be used if the spirit is reluctant to come. If it still does not appear, there are even invocations of the king, who is the boss of your spirit. The mere existence of these extra conjurations is enough to create a level of doubt in the mind of the magician that his first conjuration might not be strong enough. If you were worried from the start that your conjuration will not work, then chances are it won't. We strongly suggest that you keep your conjuration short and simple, and that you recite it immediately after the preliminary invocation when your strength is at its peak. If it is obvious that the spirit has not obeyed your conjuration, if you are sure that there is not something visible or invisible in the triangle, you may simply declare that the spirit will not cooperate with you and that you have no choice but to annihilate it and to remove it forever from your universe. If you are not for me, you are against me, and if you do not immediately comply with my wishes, I'll burn your seal to ashes and remove you forever from my universe. And you assume the God form of Richard Burton. It has been my experience that this simple threat is enough to make the most uncooperative spirit appear. Usually at this point, the spirit wants to appear, get its orders, and get the hell out of there. I digress. And get out of there. It brought its hell with it. Memorization of lengthy conjurations of the classical texts are only necessary if the magician's sense of art demands it. And my sense of art doesn't demand it, okay? But every magician is an artist of their own kind. I'm a more primitive artist. I'm naive. My wife and I are naive artists. Below is a conjuration adapted by Crowley and translated by him into the angelic language of Enochian. Crowley obviously felt that the Enochian language had more universal applications than just those relating to Enochian magic. As a matter of fact, as I mentioned earlier, there is every reason to believe that when Crowley performed Goetic evocation, he simply used the first and second Enochian call of the Enochian system. I'm going to repeat that. There is every reason to believe that when Crowley performed Goetic evocation, he simply used the first and second call of the Enochian system, along with the following conjuration below. We've arranged the conjuration with the English translation appearing directly below each line of the Enochian. It's done to make the translation clear enough for the reader to customize a conjuration of their own. As you can see, Crowley has occasionally simplified or paraphrased a portion of the text. If you'd like to learn more about Enochian magic, we encourage you to refer to the above-mentioned texts. We plug our Enochian world of Aleister Crowley. Okay. Just if you're curious, the first conjuration in Enochian and English, Olvanu Odzakame Ilzge, and then the name of the spirit. which is I invoke and move thee, O thou spirit. What's your name? So now that's in the Enochian or the Golden Dawn pronunciation of the thing. For a Goetic evocation now, if the conjuration or if the preliminary invocation was done and you're already in that exalted state of mind, hang on, I'll just find the thing here. Hang on. If you're curious, I'm looking in this book here. As a matter of fact, if you're just going to a desert island for a few years and want to bring your Goetia and your Enochian magic and your tarot and your basic Kabbalah with you, this one book would keep you entertained. Hang on. First and second call. So this is what it says. This is the English. I invoke and I move thee, O thou spirit, what's your name? And being exalted above ye in the power of the Most High, I say unto you, obey. In the name of, and then you have your, anybody that you think is their boss. I do invoke, and by invoking conjure thee, O thou spirit, what's your name? Olvanu odzakam ilsge, what's your name? Odlanch vorji iyad, gohus pujo ils darbs. Do oyap, what's your name? And do oyap, what's your name? Od, what's your name? And how many you need? Olvanu odzakam ilsge, what's your name? And that curse, let's see, that curse. Well, I don't think we need to hear the curse. But if we did need to hear it, it sounds like this. If I can find it. Excuse me. Where did I have that? Well, you know, it's a good thing I'm not finding it.
You can repeat the Ukrainian old woman's curse.
I could repeat the old woman's curse for sure.
It's hysterical.
Let's see. Say the old woman's curse, dear.
They can't hear me from there. It's sad, but it shows guts. There was an old Ukrainian woman, everybody's probably seen it online already. I'd say watch Colbert they have.
Oh, come here. Oh, that one. Yes, come here. Quick, say it, please.
Well, they've already seen it on Colbert. Not the sunflower one. I'm doing the other.
No, not the sunflower one, the other one. Oh, does it have to be done on your knees?
I was doing something on the floor in the dining room. So I just crawled over here.
That looks so primitive. I can't believe.
Okay.
I'm freak. Okay.
I guess you have to lower yourself to make a curse.
Okay.
Now, a brave old Ukrainian woman was faced with a Russian soldier in a tank. We saw it on Colbert.
Right.
And you can see the real thing where she. Anyway, she tells him to get out. That he's a fascist. Get out of their country, and he says, let's not escalate the situation here. And she said, it goes on and on. Anyway, the gist of it is she says there's more of her curse somewhere else too. Half the women in this town are witches. Tomorrow, none of your penises will stand. It's not funny, but
No,
it's got, you know.
Yeah. You gotta love her.
You gotta love her. I respect her.
Okay, let the company of heaven curse thee. Let the sun, moon, and all the stars curse thee. Let the light and all the holy ones of heaven curse thee into the burning flame that liveth forever and unto the torment unspeakable. Christios cornfa peripsal amails. Christios rol grave tofglo oeve amails. Christios luciftias otofglo pir peripsal amails. Pujo ialperj dies apla od pujo mir adfat. And on that happy note, start your weekend. It's Friday. Amuse yourself as much as you can. And we'll see you tomorrow for Saturday morning's cartoons. Until tomorrow, continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt, shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will.